And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another episode of This Freakin' Show, the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. I am your host, Travesty, and alongside me, as always,
Awkward Colin.
And Geekcast Joe.
And guys, I'm really excited for our guest we have on today.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Us too.
That's good. So without further ado, I want to introduce Hilton Ariel Ruiz.
Hey guys, what's up?
Not much.
Nothing much. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
So I just want to really quickly kind of introduce who you are to our listeners.
Yes, I'm actually the creator of Zombie with a Shotgun, which is a project that I'm working on right now. And I've just launched a project 2 weeks ago on Kickstarter, and I've in the process of right now we are, I would say, about $9,000. We're trying to raise $50,000 for the project. It's a zombie project that started 4 years ago. So it started off as a web series, and from 4 years ago, the series and the fan base just got very popular, and we decided to go on to do a comic book from it as well. And bringing that comic book and bringing the process of bringing in an artist who's pretty known in the comic book world made the product even more bigger. And the fans kept on asking, when are you going to make a feature-length film? Make a project, full length to the web series, and everybody wants that dream. Everybody wants to do that full length feature film project.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided, well, first, I went to a lot of, trying to find investors and trying to find, production houses, people who just wanted to come along in the industry, and I had to find a lot of people who were very interested. But the problem is taking over the project, or trying to take my farm and just leave me with a cow, and I just couldn't be able to somebody to take the whole farm and not be able to have any sort of creativity, or just taking something that I really care for, and I really put a hard work into it. So I decided to let me go this route. Let me go to the Kickstarter. I've heard so many stories of how much work it has to be done for it. So I was like, what? I mean, look, it is what it is. I mean, I think if if we would be able to do it the way the fans want it to be, or do it in where you have control, this would be the way to do it. So that's where we're at right now, and I'm trying to get on to promote it as I am on the show, to try to get it as much to the fans, to people, horror fans, zombie fans, and try to get the word, spread the word about the project that needs to be helped to be. And again, that this project is only going to be done or created by the fans. So that's right now where we at.
So it's on you, listeners.
Absolutely.
Become fans and then back this project.
Yeah.
Now, where did the idea of Zombie with a Shotgun come from? Because this is kind of different than other zombie movies, to where the main character is actually the zombie himself.
Yeah, I that's where again, we've been, how many years we've been seeing zombie films, and it's almost kind of the same old kind of thing. Not saying they were bad, but I think it's that how many years since we've been seeing Night of the Living Dead, and it hasn't evolved. I mean, if you really think about it, Walking Dead is a very popular show. It is a great show,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there's nothing different from what we saw in Night of the Living Dead. It's just something that's higher profile, budget. It's just in a bigger, in a larger scope. So I felt that watching these zombie films, like, hey, what if these zombies decided to say, hey, we're not going to take this anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
be able to genetically, have the virus, evolve, and have some sort of zombie where the main character is the hero, the main character is the one that's be able to fight off what where people want them to be, to get rid of them. But this zombie story, there's a lot of elements in this also that's very different than also than the zombie films, because again, you have the main zombie who's going to be a hero, and more of kind of a world that you live in where the zombies are kind of treated a little differently. than how you see it in other zombie projects. And I just wanted to do my own interpretation of the zombie genre, and without having this whole mindless zombies, even though you'll still see the classic mindless zombies. And but the thing is, I felt that the fans was it's kind of a locked into that mindset of this is how the zombie film has to be, the zombie genre. And there's these people that get really upset when they say, "Oh, can you change the whole mythology of this whole zombie world that's going on?" And I mean, there's no rules, so I thought it'd be just badass, to have a freaking zombie that would be able to take over and fight what he believes.
Yeah, and that's my like exact thought when I found all this information about your your show, and it's like because we actually had zombie like experts kind of come on our show and kind of talk to us about like post apocalyptic. I can't say the word. Joey, what's the word?
Post-apocalyptic.
There we go, that word. Um, we had like what would you do? How would you react in situations like that? And when we talked about zombie movies, I was kind of in the same boat with the people you were like kind of describing. Uh, it's there's so much zombie like movie shows like ideas out there, but it's all the same thing. No one ever wanted to do anything different, and that's the thing that drew me to your web series is that it's zombies, but it's a twist on it. It's something different, something exciting, something you can get into.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I think that's what intrigues a lot of the zombie fans, and of course you have this title that's kind of intriguing at the same time, zombie with a shotgun. Even the title could be a little bit misleading, but yet you'd be like, what is this? And I think that that first episode was really important for me to create, because that first episode definitely got everybody into the whole series. And I think also what really intrigued a lot of people, or just kind of like gave very curious, was at that very first episode you see actually at the very end the zombie basically kissing his woman. And that also was kind of like, whoa, that really gave everybody like, whoa, we've never seen this sort of like zombie love or whatever you want to call it, but it was just a little different there. And I think that was actually one of the powerful moments in that episode, is to see that at the very end, and where it kind of like the mindset of a zombie fan kind of like was like, wait, what is this? And you want to see more. And unfortunately, budget always dictates your story. And of course, having the web series, we only had a limited, resources to make the story, but we did the best we can do. And that was another reason why we went to the comic book, because we wanted to, detail the story much more and have it more, imagination, more fantasy and everything. And hopefully, with creating the film, we can do some of those things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was one of the things I saw in the first episode where I was like, "Oh, I don't know how I feel about that." Was that kiss at the end, because it's like, is he going to infect her? What's going on here? But it wasn't like it wasn't that cheesy Twilighty bullcrap type of romance that you have in like iZombie or whatever.
Yes.
It was definitely like a real moment of this is sort of a human being still who is feeling a very passionate emotion in the midst of this crisis, which I really
Yeah,
like.
correct. And that's where the whole the theme of the whole zombie film, when we're able to create this full-length feature film, that's basically his whole mindset will be almost throughout the whole entire film, is that same sort of mindset. He would have the characteristics of a human, but his facial, his whole makeup of will be changing into a zombie, but still have this, like I said, still be like a human, have feelings like a human, and be able to do things like a human even more, because now he's kind of have this also other element of him of being also a zombie, and where of course he can't really die. So that pretty, he'll be the Walking Dead, but yet he'll also have the whole human characteristic thing going on. And you could play a
Yeah.
lot with that, and like I said, I thought it was really cool. I think it's the timing for the whole zombie thing to change, and And you could see it. I think there are like some zombie films out there right now that are having zombie twists to it, having different kind of storylines to it, and I'm starting to see that a lot of people are starting to say, hey, you know what, let's take this, let's create this and evolve it a little bit more. My favorite whole thing, and I tell people is going back to Thriller and Michael Jackson, he was a badass zombie, and he's never evolved from that. And we're talking about something that came out in 1980, what, 83, 84, and he was such a
Mm-hmm.
badass zombie. But yet, no one took that and evolved it and ran with it. He just stayed there in the 83 or 84
Mm-hmm.
and never, you know, and to this day, that's probably one of what I would say top three best zombie films, even though it's a music video. Yeah, dude, it's badass still to this day watching it.
Yeah, easily one of the best of all time for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, and I just finished watching the second season of Daredevil. I don't know if you're a Marvel fan at
Yes, I
all.
am.
Your main character Aaron felt so much like Frank Castle to me, especially in that last episode where his face looks like it's all shot up with some kind of bird shot or
Oh,
something.
really? I definitely didn't catch it, but now that you tell me, it's intriguing me now to watch it now.
Yeah, well, he feels like this, it seems like there's a lot of story that's happening between each of the clips, and I've only seen the clips. I didn't, like I said when you were coming on, I didn't realize that you actually had a Kickstarter. I really did a poor job of doing my homework this week, it seems like, and I didn't know that you had a comic either. But I really like how you get this little tiny snapshot, and then I'm assuming your comic fills a lot of this stuff in.
Yeah, that's I just to fill you in on the comic part. I was really lucky to find Simone. He's an Italian artist, comic book artist. His last name is Guglielmini. Sorry if I can't pronounce that, but he's
That sounds right
yeah,
to me.
he is an awesome artist. He also is responsible of the comic book from Image Comics called Near Death. It's also a very popular comic. If you ever to look it up, it's called Near Death Image Comics, and he's also responsible. He's the main artist there creating that comic book, and we hit it off very well on online. We just by accident met, and we both appreciated each other's work and our craft. And he went back and forth of how he liked this whole zombie thing. And again, just like everybody, he's like, dude, I like just the way how it just seems different. Something about it, he said, it was just different. And I we talked about hey, what do you think about coming on board and creating a comic book for the Zombie with a Shotgun? I think I told him that we had 5 episodes, and the actors, how it is. Actors, they go on, they do other things, and the actors, they don't live in New York. I live in New York. So, there was 5 episodes, and there was nothing really going on because it was difficult for me to bring the actors back to New York. And the comic book was just perfect. It was, to announce that there was that Simone was on board of creating this comic for me with me, and it was just great. He loved the whole idea. I wrote the 20-page script, and he loved the whole idea, and we took it from there. So with the comic book and the web series and just putting all the mix, we feel strong that we're ready to take it to the next level.
Fantastic. Yeah, and actually, I lost my train of thought in the middle of that. He felt by the end of it like this unstoppable force that was going to be doing something. Like we don't know what yet as the audience. From my perspective, I mean, maybe other parts of the audience do know, but it was just this fantastic moment of like you could hear the helicopters coming in to land and him looking off in the distance at them, and there was this sort of like, man, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I kind of can't wait to see it. So
Yeah, those are the ones that really work, right? When they have those kind of cliffhanger kind of moments, or it just makes the audience want to watch more.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, the character is the way you explain it is definitely similar, and that's I think the cool thing about having taking this to the next level or a feature length film, just seeing a zombie out there just kicking ass, I think it would just be so awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, with your film, would the plan be to go back to the beginning, so to speak, or would you pick up the storyline after what we've seen so far in the comics and in the short web videos?
It's interesting because the way the film starts, it starts off like it's like already happening.
Gotcha.
So yeah, so I would say yes, you could take it from where yes, definitely, it takes off from the series, but yet of course we have our there are some flashbacks that goes back and everything, but yes, the film just starts off, boom, here we are, this is what's going on, and then you go back and forth with some the flashback scenes and everything because we didn't really want to go to the whole I don't know the whole origins of how he was infected and everything like that. We just felt like let's just get into the action. And I think especially this time of era that we're in, everyone has a small attention span.
Right.
We don't really want to just okay, this guy's doing this and that, and like 3/4 of the film, oh, that's how he got infected. It's just no,
Oh, yeah.
so we're going right in it. So we definitely can say it's continuing right off the series.
Fantastic.
I actually had a question. When I watched the series in episode 2, was he foreseeing the future
Yeah.
of what was to come?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I was kind of lost at that, and then when I saw the next episode, I was like, oh, it must have been foretelling.
Yeah, it was this whole atmospheric kind of episode of what's foretelling, like you said, it's sort of like what's going to happen with him and him kind of feeling the effects of him having this virus in him, and just giving him this sort of like different sort of feeling of his body,
Yeah.
his mind.
Yeah. Okay.
So out of curiosity, now you say your Kickstarter right now is looking to raise $50,000 to make your movie happen. Um, since I don't really have like a background or any kind of knowledge in film production, to me $50,000 seems like such a low number to produce a movie.
And you're absolutely right. Well, this is what we wanted to do. Everybody was telling me to go to Indiegogo, where the whole
Hmm.
difference between Indiegogo and Kickstarter, where Indiegogo you're able to keep the money regardless what kind of budget that you put your goal into. And Kickstarter, if you don't raise the money, everyone gets the money back. And we felt that $50,000 was a great number to start, where we could start production at least and be able to worry about post production down the line. And so we
Hmm.
felt that having the script done in a very low budget, plus we having that monies, we can take it to a production house, and with that money we can be able to match a dollar for dollar, or even them come a little bit more and say, hey, look, we have this monies, you can come in with your production company also, and we can make now, instead of a $50,000 film, we can make $100,000 film. And you can do a lot of wonders now, as you can see with with the whole camera equipment and actors and just everybody coming on board. And again, go back to that, I didn't want to be able to go to Indiegogo and then raise $20,000 and then have the money in my hand. I'm like, now what? Now what? Now to make a
Hmm.
$20,000 film, that is nearly impossible.
Right. You don't want to end up with like a Manos Hands of Fate thing.
Yes, so it's like
Yeah.
either you do it, or you don't. If I don't raise it, I don't raise it. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you should have gone to Indiegogo," and I'm like, dude, if I went to Indiegogo and I got $20,000, there's no way I could make this film.
Right.
There's just
Yeah.
absolutely no way, and it's either hit that goal or not. And I'm not gonna waste my time to say, "Oh, I got $20,000 in my hands. Okay, guys, who's gonna help me?" No, I'm not. At
Hmm.
least $50,000 will kickstart that. It will start the engine. It will go, and we can definitely you can do wonders. And you know how it is. You have you have this money. You see the campaign go higher. You'll get people more. There's a possibility of this, and that is the truth. There is a lot of people, you can never believe what they say though. And there's a lot of people that come say, hey, look, if you make this campaign work, I'll come on
Hmm.
board. with money, So, but again, there's a lot of people that just talk to me about it. I just say to them, listen, that sounds nice. Let me first reach the goal, because
Right.
if we don't make it, there's no dialogue. So
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. And $50,000 definitely can start the whole, can start the engine. Anything lower than that, it's just, and I can't lie. I can't lie to the fans, and I can't lie to the audience. It's
Hmm.
it's not worth it.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. With speaking of kind of like starting out, when I was back in high school, maybe at towards the end of junior high into the beginning of high school, me and a couple of my friends, we would actually get together and like create like little like movies and
Hmm.
stuff. It wasn't anything special. It was a lot of horror movies because I think it's a lot easier to create a horror movie than any other type of movie because you don't really need like a lot of like I guess action. Like Scream. You could easily make Scream of a home video camera. Anyways, um, we did that because it was kind of fun and like one of my friends had like a real passion for it. Where do you think that your like passion for movies like started? Like creating the movies and all that.
That's a good question. I would have to say my passion started, I would say, in the early '90s, when the whole thing of the whole, Quentin Tarantino explosion, when Brothers McMullen came out. Um, you had all these independent Buffalo 66, and when you was able to see independence at its finest on that big screen, you was able to say, "Wow, you know, that's that's what I always wanted to do." And
Hmm.
you was able to see the control of a filmmaker finally in, like I said, in that large scope, and you knew it was the director's direct, that was his direction or her direction to tell a story, and it was just awesome. You knew it felt different from everybody. And watching those films in the early '90s, you said to yourself, "Wow, that really different. That definitely inspired me to go out there more and do it and say, hey, you know what? There is a voice for us out there. It's just gotten bigger, and now it's even much bigger from this, we're going 20 years later, 25 years later. It's even so much now. You see so many people making films now, but I think those films are the ones that inspired me, who just basically put the spark under me and just said, I can do this. So those films, of course, I love all types of films. It's just as long as um, the story's good.
Right. Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to get an idea. Like, I don't know if like did you used to make movies and stuff like when you were younger? Like,
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I used to do the same thing. I used to do horror films, and we.
yeah, it was weird because like whenever we did the horror films, I always ended up being like I guess like the bad guy in it. I was always like the bigger guy of all my friends, and like my friend who was like really like into these movies, and he's like huge into horror movies. He was always like the small, scrawny guy, so he was always like the hero somehow. But I mean, compared to me, I am like 6'2". I'm about over 400 pounds, so I'm a big dude compared to him, who is roughly around like 5'6", 5'7", like 120 soaking wet. Somehow he always ended up, coming up on top and everything, regardless if I was like a burglar or a monster or something like that. Um, I always wanted to be the good guy, but for some reason, you know, you can't really be afraid of someone who's 5'6", 5'7".
That is
Yeah.
cool. You bring me back memories too, when I used to do my films, and we used to have this boom box, right? And we, of course, CDs back days, and we didn't have the editing equipment, that we have now. And we used to have this
Mhm.
boom box, and we used to have all our CDs from our favorite horror films. Of course, Halloween was always our top one there, and you had The Exorcist theme. We had all these soundtracks from horror films, so we would actually sync in the sound, the music, when the scene of that we would create this scary scene coming in, and we would have my friend just put the volume just a little higher, faded it in, faded it. I'm telling you, I still remember that. It was so bootleg, but it was unbelievable. It was so cool. And I remember a friend of mine I bumped into a very long time ago. I had a friend, I bumped into him. I haven't seen him in a very long time, and he reminded me of that. He's like, "Wow, dude, I remember when you was young, you used to make these films." And I said, "I remember you used to see you guys do it." And he said, "Wow, I guess the dream is gonna come true." And I was like, "Dude, the dream's been true even back then because again, I was able to create something." So that's what I always, that's what I told him.
Oh yeah, there was like I mean like when we started out with like we borrowed like my friend's parents' camera, and like when we would do like the credits, we would just draw each like person's name out on like a piece of paper, and we always used Rob Zombie. He was our go-to like horror suspense movie like theme song guy.
That's cool.
Um, so as soon as like we would press record, we'll cue the music because we had no idea how to edit anything at this point. So we just went as we went. If we screwed up, we just had to rewind back and then start recording again. But like as the song's playing, it would be dropping like the papers in and everything. So every single movie you watch of ours, you think it's all together because it starts the same music. It ends up like somebody sleeping on the couch and hearing a noise and has to go find it. Like, I mean, and we did this over the span. I think it had to been like 2.5 years, and like we got like really giddy, like schoolgirls, when we found out that we could create credits and stuff online, or like not even online, but like on a software program, and then we could edit the whole movie on there too. So like when we first started out, we did like 15, 20 minute movies, and it took like an hour to record it because we knew what we wanted to do, and we just did it. Then we started getting more into it. Then we started making 45-minute long movies, and that took like 3 weeks to do because as we are doing it, we just want to make it more and more perfect.
Dude, that's
And like,
go ahead.
oh yeah, it's just like it's doing that made me like actually more interested in like film and everything. Like I actually thought like I wanted to like go to school for film and all this other stuff, and then I realized I'm horrible at school, so I ended up not doing that. And we actually have like three. I think we have like three different movies that are like like one of them's done but not edited. The other's like we have like the first like half of the movie done and then finished, and then the other one we have like ideas for it never got created. And it always bothered me that we never did stuff like that because it's like we started and then we never finished.
I
Oh.
think that, it's funny that you said that because I think that's every filmmaker's like nightmare. I can tell you that when I started shooting, I shot a lot of stuff on 16 millimeter, 35 millimeter. And I was in going to school, going to
Mhm.
college, and everything. And there's projects that I even shot that's still in the can from like 15, 20 years ago. And I'm like, dude, it's like I look at it and I'm like, what am I gonna do with that? When am I ever gonna see this film come? I haven't even processed the film. It's really upsetting because processing is really expensive. I even have stuff that is processed and never even finished it. But I think that's just the nightmare of filmmakers. Always never have a project that is needs to be finished.
Yeah, it's like it actually kind of reminds me of. Have you ever heard of a movie or seen a movie called Pool Hall Junkies?
No.
All right. Uh, Pool Junkies is basically just about a hustler who goes into his pool clubs, hustles people for pool, goes into a tournament. It's a great movie. If you've never seen it, definitely got to check it out. But, I mean, though that was one of the movies, if I remember right, um, at a young age, a guy wrote the idea, came up with it, and wanted to put it together, and it didn't happen, I think, for like 15, 20 years. And then eventually he was able to do it, but by the time he was able to do it, he had to play an older character rather than the younger character he wanted to do. I wish I could look up. I wish I had time to like look up all the information for it, but I kind of get what you're saying as compared to that, because you have an idea for a movie, and it turned out to be a really great movie. It's just like it could have came out a lot earlier if they were able to have the means to it and the access to funds and production, I guess, for it.
I'm looking at it right now. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great cast in there. I
Yeah.
mean, anything with Christopher Walken is
Yeah. Once I
amazing.
saw it, I'm like, oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've never seen it though. Yes. 15 years ago. Wow. Okay.
Hmm. Yeah, because I think there was like a large gap in between the idea of it coming out and it actually being produced. I think the main character, I can't think of the name, but I think originally the main character wanted to play the younger brother of the character he ended up playing because of the whole time frame. that it took.
You
But
know, it is, and these filmmakers, I guarantee if we, a lot of these filmmakers out there, I bet you there's a lot of stories like that. They had these ideas 15, 20 years ago. Nemo was an interesting one. Nemo, Disney's Nemo, he had wrote that when he was in high school.
Oh, seriously? I had no idea.
Yeah, and he married his high school sweetheart, and she even said that he used to draw Nemo fish. He drew the
Huh.
characters, and he used to tell her, "This, I'm going to make this story one day." And I don't know how many years later he actually did do the story. He did it, and his wife even said, "I remember he used to do it all the time. He used to always talk about, I'm going to create this story. I'm going to make this story." And there you go. He did it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So in your Kickstarter profile information, it says that your interest was in cinema and photography was first drawn by Scorsese's Raging Bull. What about that movie drew you into the art?
Oh man, you know, a-
If you don't mind me asking, it's cool if you don't
no,
want.
no, absolutely. I mean, I love it. Taxi Driver and Raging Bull. That beginning of that film has to be, to me, has to be one of the best intros. When you have him in slow motion boxing in that ring, having that beautiful Italian music come on. And I don't know if you guys remember it, or you guys, that intro, it just itself is just beautiful. It's mind blowing. And it's just seeing black and white film at its best, and I remember seeing that film. I thought it was just awesome. I think everything in that film was just, to me, I don't know, it's just incredible. The whole character development, the way it was written, the way the pace, the way the characters came alive. It was also based on a true story. um it was just beautiful. Everything on it, everything about the film was just beautiful. I just, admire Martin Scorsese's films. Um yeah, I even if that's one of my bios did talk about Raging Bull and Taxi Driver,
Hmm.
and those were like my two films that really inspired me when I was young. Watching those films. I think Taxi Driver just has to be the fact that, me being from New York City and looking at it, and even now looking at it, it's like, wow, that's how New York City used to feel like. Definitely, now it's just like, Disneyland.
Right.
Now, seriously. And it was just that rawness. I think that rawness of just, Robert De Niro at his best. Unfortunately, never had a big hit from that film.
Hmm.
That's just, it's just an amazing film. And again, like I said from the very beginning, it has the very, the story that, the tragedy of a man who was, boxer, who became a champion and lost it all. He
Gotcha.
got that American dream that we all dream about, and to the top, and fell to the bottom. And you feel for the character at the very end, and I think that's just also the thing that drew me to it. It's just how the character was very, you fell for him.
Hmm.
And I think when you create stories like that, when you have characters that you feel, and and everyone can resonate, the audience can resonate and feel bad for, you did your job for your film. You really did.
Wow. I tell you, you've definitely sold me on those two movies, which I don't know that I've ever seen. It draws to mind a question for me. It seems like these are two films that have made a huge impact on not just maybe your desire to be a filmmaker, but maybe your life or your view of the art in general. One of the things that I recall from like Tarantino is that the way that he learned to do dialogue was kind of ripping it off of other people's sort of style of dialogue. Are there elements of these films that you think might make it into films that you produce, or have made it into films that you produced, and either something you've intentionally done, or maybe thinking back on it now, you're like, oh yeah, maybe I did do that.
Yeah, I really do think so. I think, you try not to, well, I wouldn't say you try not to. I mean, because everyone who's inspired by their favorite artist or filmmaker, whatever, there is definitely imitations that you try to take, or styles you like to take, and you try to incorporate in your own work. And I think a lot of I think I don't have a very, people say who's your favorite filmmaker or anything like that. I really don't have a favorite filmmaker. I think because every filmmaker has that one gem, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I think it's very difficult to say, that my favorite filmmaker. And I think all these filmmakers that because I do love Martin Scorsese and I do love Quentin Tarantino. Really Scott is also one of my favorites. I love his work.
Oh, he's
And you
so
have
good.
and then you have James Cameron, and look at all those filmmakers, right? You have Quentin Tarantino who brings this edgy kind of style with dialogue, and then you have really Scott that would have the imagery with with his large scope mechanics and everything that's going on and
Mm-hmm.
the digital, and then you have Martin Scorsese that kind of likes to keep things organic, kind of has that old fashioned feel filmmaking, having everything kind of stillmatic going on, and those are all different styles, and of course I do like to bring I think my whole thing, I like to bring my New York city style into my films. I try to bring that whole kind of edgy kind of feel to it. I think
Gotcha.
New York City has been a big inspiration for me as a filmmaker growing up here, and just I grew up right in the Lower East Side, right in the smack middle of Chinatown and Little Italy. You had Chinatown is right to my right, and you got Little Italy and Chinatown. It just right there in the smack in the middle, and then just go a couple more blocks, and you got Lower East Side,
Mm-hmm.
and just in a daily basis of where I grew up, and I still live there. Um, you get to see so much great things. You get to see, how Chinatown interacts. You got how Lower East Side used to, how to they interact, and you see these different sort of cultures and ethnic groups every single day, and you're like, wow, this is just so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Little Italy. I mean, even though Little Italy is shrinking down, it's not as much as as big as it used to be. It's a big inspiration, and I try to incorporate all those sort of things that I grow up watching and seeing, and try to bring them into my films.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yes. So being from New York, um, are you a Yankees fan?
Yes, I am.
I love the edginess on both sides here in
Yeah.
asking that question and in answering it.
Oh yes.
Ah,
Oh
well,
yes.
cool. Couple questions about that
Let's
then.
do it.
Um, uh, what's your thoughts on A Rod and everything he had to deal with in the last couple years?
um, I listen. I was always a big A-Rad fan, even with that whole, steroid thing. I still loved them after. I think New York, compared to everyone out of out of New York, they hated him, and I think New York kind of, we had his back, believe it or not, here in New York.
Hmm.
We had his back, even though there was fans that was upset or disappointed by him. But I don't know. I always try to compare the fan that is so angry at a player for what? Why are you so angry? There's people that you talk to and say, "Oh, I hate A Rod," and they put all their emotions and they're so passionate about that hate. It's like, why? Why are you
Hmm.
so angry?
Well,
And I try to understand that. I can't really understand why is that a fan can be so angry at a player for doing what he's doing, whatever he's done bad and everything like that. And I just have to say, psychologically, there's something that you see in these players, and I feel like a lot of fans, they take their anger and their frustrations out on these players because they may not be able to succeed in life. Maybe they weren't the great one, or they just wish they can be that person. But just to see people just so emotionally, involved on a player that's going to be richer than anybody, and it
hmm.
just he's gonna be made fun of, but tomorrow he's gonna be more richer than I don't know 95% of the people.
Right.
I just
Yeah,
don't get that, and I just never got myself involved in that whole emotional thing about it. I look at him as a player, and sometimes a lot of people always say, these guys are role models. I don't know if they're role models. You know what I mean? They just, these guys, they're going to do anything to make it to the big leagues, and if they have to take whatever you call it, drugs, anabolic steroids, they're going to do it. And
yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I understand that like what he did was illegal, and him being punished for it was probably the right thing. But I think the biggest thing that people are missing is that yes, the steroids gave him more of a power, more of a pop off his bat. But when push comes to shove, he still has to make contact with that ball, and steroids doesn't help your eye contact with hitting.
I agree.
So I mean, like, and with what Yankee Stadium is now, I mean, a toddler can hit a ball out of that field. You
Yes.
guys have such short balls; it's crazy.
Okay, here it goes. Here it goes. Yeah, I know where this is going to. But no, listen, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think the guy is still a great athlete, and I think he'll be always. Unfortunately, he's always going to be. He's going to have a, I don't know, a dent in his career because of this. Who knows? In 10 years, 15 years now, I say let him. I say let him use it. I mean,
hmm
if
Oh, and that's what it is. Baseball's a lot more entertaining when people are crushing home runs. Um, the unfortunate thing is, I don't think that he will get into the Hall of Fame because of it, which is an unfortunate thing because he had a great career even before he started doing what he did. And I think he said like after 2017 he's gonna end up retiring, and I think they're still gonna make a huge deal about it, just like with Derek Jeter when he retired. I think they're just gonna give him the ceremonies. I think they're still gonna give him the respect and everything. Um, but I think he may miss that Hall of Fame opportunity because of the situation that he put himself in.
I
Yeah, which is a
agree.
real bummer. I,
Yeah.
I don't really. I'm not a sports guy, and I would love to be. It's just something it's really hard for me to muster up the energy to care about it for whatever reason. But I'm
Mhm.
kind of with that like that Lewis Black joke where he makes that joke about who is it Lance Armstrong. He won all those things on those steroids or whatever, and it's like if he was able to do that on that, why aren't we all on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
That's true.
I mean, I'm not that I'm advocating drug use, but it's just I don't know. And I think with baseball, it seems like the only people who ever get caught using are the people who hit home runs all the time. They're not really testing any of the outfielders or the pitchers or the catchers or anybody else on the field. They're only trying to catch the high profile players, and I think that's garbage. So,
Yeah, and just to go back to say, if just because you take steroids, are you going to hit home runs? Look what happened 2 weeks ago, right? Barry Bonds, his players challenged him on a home run derby, and at a
Mhm.
50 what years old, he beat them all.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay, tell me, was he on it?
Right.
yeah. It's skill at that
Yeah,
point, and I mean, like, and it's one of the things that's unfortunate. Like, Barry Bonds definitely should be in the Hall of Fame too. It's like it's crazy that there's all these circumstances that's preventing it, but at the same time, it's like if you go back and you look at everyone who's in there now, like, how do you know none of them did it? It's like just because like you think they didn't do it, you have to move on from it, and it doesn't make
Right.
sense.
yeah.
I'm with you.
But I was also surprised that I thought the Yankees would have, but how could they not pick up Chris Davis as a left-handed power hitter with that short wall you guys have in right center? That's something that baffled me too about the season.
I think it has to do with money. I mean, I think they just trying to unload on Teixeira, and they're trying to unload on A-Rod to get out. I think that's a big problem. Those.
Oh, what was it? It was like when Jeter was there and when Cano was there, like that infield was probably the highest. I think it was the highest paid infield in all of
Yeah,
baseball, and I think it was almost like each person was making $20+ million a year.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, and it's so funny because when Jeter was retiring, everybody, a lot of people get angry. I always tell how it is. How I see it. I don't get. I love baseball. I love the New York Yankees, but I don't get emotionally involved in the whole thing. And I always say, if Derek Jeter wasn't, if he left that year, that whole retirement year that he had, we would have made it to the playoffs. It was like 10 games. We were like, I don't know, 9 games, but we lost so many games because they left him in the game, and because they wanted
Mhm.
this whole big ceremony for Jeter every game, and I just felt like, oh, dude, get him out already. But it's just, that's just
And
what
that,
it.
and that and that and that was the unfortunate thing too. Is like, I mean, like you want to give this guy his dues, but at the same time, you want to be able to win. It's like the White Sox. Paul Konerko retired that same year, but Paul Konerko, I think out of the 162 games, he may have played like 60 of them. Like he didn't play a whole lot. He platooned a lot off the bench. He pitched hint when he needed to, and even in his final game that me and Colin actually went to, his final game they took him out in the sixth inning.
Damn.
Yeah,
It
they
was
took
just
him out
like,
early.
yeah, it's just like, I mean, like he went out. I think they did one out in like either the fifth or sixth inning, and then he walked off. They waved someone and replaced him. It's just bad because like even though the Sox were already like done, like they weren't going to go anywhere where they were. They still wanted to win the game, and they still did what's best, and that's something that I think Paul Konerko understood. It's like, regardless of just my last year or not, what's done is done.
Mhm.
Put someone else in who gives the opportunity, especially as a minor league player, give him the opportunity to play more and all this other stuff. And but that's what bad for me. I mean, like, and I know, like, Jeter is great. Jeter is a first ballot Hall of Famer, guaranteed, just like Ken Griffey Jr. was this year.
Yeah.
But you can't jeopardize winning a championship to give this guy one last hurrah every single home game.
A lot of I listen. This New York loves Jeter. I love Jeter too, and I can't even tell people this. What I just told you guys, they get still jump down my throat. Like what? And I'm like, dude, it's the truth. Jeter should have got out. We would have made it at least the playoffs because he held the team back. And it's like, oh boy. But who do you think? Who do you think has the best chance to win the World Series this year?
Cubs.
Cubs. Okay, I'm gonna say Pirates.
You gonna say Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
See, it was weird because we did a show. It was your
2
last.
weeks ago.
No, it's 2 weeks ago. We did 2 weeks ago we did a show where we had another podcast host come on, and we did like our like roster prediction for the playoffs. I actually put a Cubs Sox World Series in.
Yeah. Okay.
Hard not to when
I,
you
I
grow up
think
Chicago.
granted, yeah, if you look at it, it's like, okay, this guy's from Chicago, that's what he did. But it's just you have to look at it overall. It's like the Sox have the potential to do really good, and I think they're actually going to do it this year compared to what the Cubs. I mean, they're doing phenomenal, and I think they're just going to keep on growing. I think Pittsburgh one of the last teams undefeated, or Baltimore is also undefeated, but I think Pittsburgh is also
Yeah,
undefeated too.
Pittsburgh, even since from last year, I think this is this year. I think they're going on a Kansas City kind of run that they're gonna refuse to lose.
Well, that would be exciting to watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Hilton, before we say our goodbyes to you, once again, thank you for coming on the show. It was awesome talking with you.
Likewise, definitely.
Where can our listeners find your web series, Zombie with a Shotgun, and all that?
Yeah, the best thing for anybody to do is to go to Google and just search "zombie with a shotgun." As soon as you Google that, you will see the very first episode there, and you'll see everything. I have everything set up as with "zombie with a shotgun," but just for the audience, I have "zombie with a shotgun." .tumblr.com, you facebook.com/zombie with a shotgun, instagram.com/zombie with a shotgun. The videos you can watch vimeo.com/zombie with a shotgun. Twitter's a little bit different because they don't allow you all those characters, so it's twitter.com zombie wa shotgun. And I'm there on a regular daily basis on Twitter. Anybody can ask me a question, tweet me, direct message me, follow me, and I'll follow them back. It may take a little while, but sometimes but I will follow anybody who follows me back. Can start a conversation. If you want to ask me a direct question, you can email me at zombiewithashotgunmovie@gmail.com. And for the Kickstarter, you go to Kickstarter.com, and I'm pretty sure it's slash zombie with a shotgun, or you just Google Kickstarter zombie with a shotgun. Again, you could go there. We're trying to raise $50,000 for the film. We have right now $9,000. We have about, I think, 47 days left. It's not that long. Again, the fans are the ones that are going to make this happen. There are perks out there on the page that you can purchase. They start as low as $7 all the way to $10,000. Of course, that's a number that you have to put there just in case, you never know. But you have like 20, you have a
Mm-hmm.
20, I always tell everybody the $25 probably the best perk, because you pre-order the DVD. You pre-order the film. You get a stream, you get a link for it, plus you get a bumper sticker. You want the DVD with the bumper sticker, it's $50, and then you have other stuff like posters, T-shirts. If you want to get zombified, you can get drawn up by the artist who is drawing zombie with a shotgun. There's a perk there that you send your headshot, and you can also get drawn out. And of course, the ultimate perk there. Oh, there's two zombie perks. If you ever wanted to be in a zombie film, here's your chance. You can purchase a perk where you would join us in the set as a zombie. And the second zombie perk is also to be a zombie and be killed, have an awesome kill as a zombie. Get your head chopped off, you get blown up or whatever. So
It's tough to
there's
beat.
other, yeah, there's other perks there you can get. I also like to tell the fans too that if we don't raise the $50,000, your monies are returned back to you guys. So that's the good thing about it.
Yeah, they don't even Kickstarter doesn't even charge until after the project
Yes.
ends. So
Yes, and again, I did that. Again, to the question that you asked, that I felt that I couldn't be able to make a film lower than $50,000, and if I can't reach that goal, I don't want to waste anybody's time, especially mine.
right.
So there you go, guys. I
Okay.
hope you guys could enjoy, and I really tell your audience to watch that first episode. Again, Google "zombie with a shotgun." The first episode pops up. It's 4 minutes and something. You will love it. You'll get hooked, and then you can make up your mind if you want to join us in this Kickstarter.
Yeah. Well, I absolutely hope that nobody's money gets refunded back to them, because I definitely hope that you do reach your goal. And we're gonna actually we're gonna put a link to the Kickstarter, to the actual YouTube videos, your Twitter and all that. We're gonna put in the show notes, and we're also gonna promote it on our website and our Facebook and Twitter as well. Just get the name out there a little
Much
more.
appreciated. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Nah problem. Thank you for coming on. All right, cool.
Great.
All right.
Thank you so much. Just to give you a heads up, we're going to take you off the show. It's going to say you got kicked, but it's not because we don't like you. It's just because that's what it says.
Sounds like a
Just to
plan.
let you know.
Well, so I guess I
Perfect.
have to say my last goodbyes, right?
Yeah.
Guys,
Yeah.
I really appreciate it. Thank you for
Yeah,
having me.
absolutely. Anytime,
thank you.
man.
Definitely, I definitely would love to
Yeah.
come back. I mean, you'll be seeing me again. Or hearing
Sounds
from me.
good. Even if you want to shoot the shit about the comic or baseball or whatever, man, we'll have you.
Dude, anytime.
Yeah, if you want, actually, if you want to be part of it, kind of a crappy plug on my end, but if you want to be part of our contest we have going on right now, to where you create your own playoff bracket and want to get in the fun, you have until the end of the month to do that, and the winner who creates the perfect bracket gets a This Freaking Show fan package.
Will do.
Oh, we'll do.
Yep.
All right. Thank you
Take
again.
it
You have a good night.
Right.
Bye.
All right. That was fantastic.
I like
yeah.
that guy.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's who are we plugging this week?
You know what? I actually didn't even look up anybody. No, actually, no. I lied. I did. I just have to find the
I say
name
if
of it real quick,
not, I'm
'cause-
cool just talking about this for a while and then signing off.
Yeah. We go without promoting this week. There's there's again. I just want to mention we do have a contest going on for the baseball season. Anyone who's interested by the end of April wants to send in a playoff bracket to this freaking show at yahoo.com. What we're going to do is we're going to find the person who creates the perfect playoff bracket. Come October during playoff season, if your bracket is the perfect bracket, we're going to send you a This Freaking Show fan package. It's going to have multiple different items in it. Actually, starting in May, every month we're going to announce what is in the package. Just kind of give you guys a little, boost. So if you're looking at May, June, July, August, September, what was that, 5 months? I didn't even count what I just did.
Sure, I wasn't counting either.
Yeah. So you got like 5 different gifts that are gonna be packaged up and sent to you. So make sure you get them in. Like I said, I'm in. GCR from Geekcast Live is in. We actually did ours 2 weeks ago before the season even started. So you guys have an advantage because you have an entire month to watch the games, find out whose standings are at, and get yours in, because we would love to get more people involved and just kind of interact with all that. Another thing is next week, just kind of give you an idea of what's going on for that show, so you could, be excited for that as well. We're going to be doing our Marvel's Avenger versus DC Justice League show.
Yes.
So I actually, there is a podcast. That's who I was going to bring up. And for that podcast who is listening, I apologize for forgetting about you guys, because I'm so focused on our conversation we just had. There we go. Okay, so I've been talking to some guys from Hot Garbage Podcast. Just to give you an idea of who they are, their description on their Twitter says, "Our opinions are the trash. Your ears are dumping grounds. Your ears are the dumping grounds." Join Matt and Dan talk about movies, video games, TV, and other nerd stuff on Hot Garbage. I've been talking with them for a couple weeks, and I actually was explaining to them, telling them about how we're going to do a Avengers versus Justice League show. And to sum up what they said is, what's the point? DC's going to win because they're all powerful.
It's a valid point.
It is a valid point. He said, between Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, apparently they're all indestructible and very powerful people. So we're gonna have some fun with it. We're gonna pick five and five. I haven't really figured out the rules yet, but we're not going to do like just the basic Avengers, basic Justice League. I want to pick the 5 strongest Avengers. So when it comes from Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Scarlet Witch, Vision, Hawkeye, Black Widow, and all of them, we're gonna pick only 5 out of them and just go there. I don't want to do the original Avengers because I think Hawkeye and Black Widow kind of defeat the purpose of going into a superpower battle.
That's fair.
So, unless we go with like Green Arrow and Hawkeye, but it's kind of like, they just kind of fight each other. It's the same thing, just shooting arrows at each other and missing. Right. But we're doing that show next week. I talked to them. Unfortunately, they can't make it on next week because I would love to have them on as guests next week. But I believe they are college students just like you guys, and schedules conflict. But they will be on our show later, probably in the summer. So we kind of touch base with them. I'm excited for that. And what else is there? I don't know. Yeah, but like we were saying, ladies and gentlemen, check out the Kickstarter. Check out Zombie with a Shotgun. The links to the Kickstarter, the Facebook, the Twitter, every link you can find Zombie with a Shotgun. We'll make sure to put it in there. We'll put it on our Twitter. We'll put it on our website and everything, because this is a Kickstarter that we all believe in. This is a Kickstarter we're all excited for. And I really want to see this happen, because this is the first time I've been excited for a zombie movie in probably my whole life.
I actually think I might agree with you there.
Yeah, well, it's different, and it's different in a good way. It's not the same old, human being versus zombie. It's
serious instead of campy. There's like Shaun of the Dead, which is a great movie and really funny, but it's a comedy movie, and it's not really a zombie apocalypse film in the same sense that like Romero or Zombie with a Shotgun is. I just compared the two. So suck it, internet. Feel free to comment and tell us what you think about that comment. Use the hashtag that just freaking saying.
Yeah. Use hashtag freaking staying and tell Joey how you feel.
Just be prepared. I'll tell you how I feel back.
Oh yeah, he'll respond, but
Mostly
he'll
for
respond in a
Clint.
nice way because
I'm a cantankerous old 25-year-old. And I'm going to need you to get off my lawn.
excellent, easy, Clint Eastwood. Oh god.
Yes,
Joey,
sir.
every week our listeners could catch Geekcast Joe here at this freaking show, but if they need more Geekcast Joe, where
If
can
you
they
need
go?
more Geekcast Joe, you can find me over at the Geekcast Live podcast at gcl.ninja. You can also search Geekcast Live on iTunes or Twitter, and you will find us either way. Also, we're on SoundCloud now. So if you hop over to SoundCloud and you search Geekcast Live, we're the one with the 3 blue half moons or whatever. Yeah, 11 a.m. Eastern time we release.
3 blue half moons. Joey, do you like cognac?
I do like cognac.
I got like 3 bottles of cognac for free from a guy at work. So you got to come over and enjoy my first glass
That sounds
of cognac
excellent.
with me. Yeah, maybe there's only 2 of them. I got Hardy and I got whatever the hell the other one is.
Sweet.
So,
I haven't had enough to know what the difference between each brand is, but I know that I like it. So,
well, I got 2 bottles of cognac. I got some Scotch whiskey, J&B Scotch whiskey, and I got a bottle of Canadian Club whiskey.
Nice.
Tequila Gold, some Pucker for Colin. But yeah, you have to come over and enjoy that with
good.
me. Again, ladies and gentlemen, you could find this freaking show on Facebook, on Twitter, and Instagram just by searching This Freaking Show. Go to our website, thisfreakingshow.com, where we are linked to our Podbean, so you can check out every show that we do every week. If you have an Apple product, you have an iPhone, iPad, iPod, whatever other fucking Apple product there is. Is that it? Is that about it? iPod, iPad, tablet, or iPod,
Sounds
iPad,
about
whatever.
Yeah.
It don't matter. Yeah. Go on to iTunes. You can find us there. This freaking show. While you're over there, leave a review. Give us 5 stars. You know, I want to do this because Rob does it. Give us 5 stars. Lie if you have to. But of course, I know you won't. I know you won't lie because we're awesome. But yeah, go to iTunes. Give us a review, rate us and everything. That is what helps iTunes. That's what helps us on iTunes become more popular. That'll be appreciated. As always, I am Travesty.
I'm Awkward
And
Colin.
I'm Geekcast Joe.
Thank you for listening to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.